No, that's Lee's cam. Lee's cam now, baby. All right, so Nick isn't here. Hold on, I'm almost done with this beer. Let me crack this bitch open.
Nick isn't here, and I wanted to sit in my regular seat just out of respect for my brother Nick.
Yeah, Nicky, he wanted to stay in his.
I wanted to stay in.
And just you want to come sit in here, Nicky?
I wanted to stay in my seat,
and I told him no because I refuse to have a conversation with someone sitting on the other side like that. So Nick isn't here because Nick is a child, and even though he picked this day, this is the day he picked. He decided 3 hours ago to tell me that he couldn't find a fucking babysitter. You were supposed to find a babysitter last week, motherfucker.
Maybe
so when you're editing this, no, he didn't, Lee. I know him. He just figured, he figured I'm gonna hit the bitch up like I hit her up every fucking time, last minute, and she's gonna say, "What time you need me?" And she told him today, "I can't do it. I'm busy." And he said, fuck, I can't find a fucking sitter. That's what happened.
Oh, because
he has it during the week. Yeah, but yeah, look, it is what it is. It is what it is. But I know,
and I told him
it's punishment enough. I know it's punishment enough that you're not here because I know he's at home right now. Like, fuck, Kev's gonna fire me and just gonna be him and me. So today is just
then
me.
He's gonna watch this video. He's gonna watch the pod and he's like, I'm secure.
No. Even worse is if he edits it and he's like laughing at jokes. That's gonna be even worse because he's gonna be sitting here like, fuck, this is good. It's the best episode in a while.
Yo, he was editing one of the pods this weekend, and I was like, I don't know how you fucking do that, dog. I don't know how you
watching
that
it.
Shit
even
is so hard.
Yeah, watching it, bro. But even watching it for clips is like. Because you're trying to, there's times I'm listening, and then I'm like, that could be a funny moment. Let me listen to it again. And then you listen to it again, I'm listening to it again. Because I'm a psycho too, because I'll fucking watch this shit over.
Yeah, you do that with your stories.
And over. I do, because I pull out every little thing bad that I did. You know? I'm like, that's bad. And
we have such a good time, and you're recording, and you just listen to it.
You know what I watched a lot? You know what I watched a lot? I sent it to Chrissy too. The one us arguing, the rap one, that was funny too.
Yeah, that was very funny.
That was funny. I'm gonna add it on one of my mood boards. That was fucking funny, dude. Yeah. Make me dance.
Yeah, I was laughing at it, and Erica was like, "What is so funny?" I'm like, "It's me," and I just showed it to her. She's like, "I want to hear it," and she wants
to be part of it. She wants to be a part. Oh, that's fucking, bro. Yesterday. I'll dig into it deeply on the Patreon about how I really feel, but bro, baby moms had me. Bro, I don't know what it is. When I get really, really stressed, overly stressed, the same thing happens every time. I get this migraine pain in the back of my head, like right here.
Yeah. To
the point where I have to lay down because it's so fucking bad. And it's only when she stresses me the fuck out, bro.
That's a sign of stress, dog.
Is it? Yes. The headache?
That's a stress headache, yeah. Yeah, and the fact that you know that it's when she's triggering you or something's triggering it, yeah, that's not good.
Bro, it was I was already fucking tired. I landed from Raleigh.
Well, we didn't sleep the night before.
We didn't sleep, yeah. Well, I was fucking tired, bro.
Yeah.
I landed. I said, I texted her. I texted her. And I feel like I can't talk about it on here. I have to talk about it on the Patreon because I feel like I'm being, based on certain circumstances, I feel like I'm being like watched, which I am by people. Like I feel like she knows like everything. If I say something, yeah, bro, somebody's watching this shit. Like, yo, you want to hear what this bitch ass motherfucker said about you? Someone is.
Yeah, but it's your truth, it's your story. You're not lying.
Yes.
It's your perspective on what's happening,
and that's tough too because I'm very picky about shit like that. Like my mom today. My mom hit me and was like, I sent her the video of that Nick made about my stepfather. Mm-hmm. In the last episode, we talked about my stepfather. Yeah. And I sent it to her and I said, Mommy, just like out of respect for you. No, this was me and Nick had this episode. We were alone. But he clipped it. He sent it to me. And it was a little rough, so I edited some of the pieces out.
Right.
And I sent it to her, and I said, just out of respect for you, I love you. This has nothing to do with you. It's only about Mike and how, like, he didn't like me and how, like, he shrieked He like when I went to hug him for the first time, and that fucked me up as a kid because like he was I wanted a father, and he was like the first person in my life that was a male living in the home, and I went to hug him for the first time, and he like pushed me off and was like, yeah. So I'm talking about it in this instant, and so I send it to her. I go, I want to post this. This is my truth.
Right.
I'm not asking you to second it, or say like, yeah, this happened or whatever. And so she called me and she started crying, and she didn't
know the story at all.
No, I said just watch it, and then I want to know if it's okay. If you're okay with it. And she was like, I just want to say I'm sorry, like, blah, blah. And I was like, Mommy, this is not a reflection on you. And she's like, but it is. And then she started saying like, because people in the comments, and I was like, that broke my heart. Because I was like, Mommy, you cannot. I'm like, you want to see what motherfuckers are saying about me? I'm like, that I'm a good person. And I'm like, you want me to show you what motherfuckers saying about me? Yeah. I'm like, you cannot read the comments. I'm like, you have to stop. You can, and she was like, okay. She was like, but I just want to say like, I'm sorry and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Mommy, you did your best. You did what you could. You were heartbroken. Yeah. You were, you know what I'm saying? Like you did whatever you felt like you needed to do. We're okay. We're good. But then she said, but I did say like over and over, this is my truth. This is my truth. Because I do get insecure. Because even as a human being, I understand that a lot of times when you feel something, especially when you're younger, what you felt might not be entirely what actually happened.
Right. It's just your perspective.
It was your perspective.
Or perception.
But I only know my perception, you know what I mean?
Especially at that age.
Right. Yeah. I only know what I felt in that moment and the things that happened that I remember. That's the only, I can't go off of, what anyone else is. So sometimes I do get insecure about that because I'm just like, but in my head, I'm telling the truth.
But as an older person, does your perception change? No. Okay.
It's never changed, but it's just like sometimes I'll say things, and a lot of times just with my mom, where, I feel like our parents, toxic parents are all the same, where like you'll say like, remember when you did this, and they're like, the fuck you talking about? That never fucking happened. Yeah. And they'll be so confident in saying it to you that I'm like, yes, it did.
You second guess yourself?
Yes, you start second guess yourself. Like, bitch, you are so good at this. Puppy, that never happened. Never. Are you crazy? I would have never have done that shit to you. I'm like, I don't even know who you are. Right. It's just crazy. Who are you?
You wouldn't do that shit now.
You wouldn't do that shit now.
Yeah,
with my kids, you wouldn't do that shit. You do that shit with me, motherfucker. Yeah. And it's funny because like sometimes I'll bring up stories that my mom did when I was younger. Like when my father wasn't in my life and I was really young, I remember my mom would grab me and she'd be like, Papi, if your father ever came to the door, what would you say to him? Now, I knew that in this moment, and this was all the time. It wasn't once or twice. Yeah. She did it like every Saturday. This is like her thing to do.
She was in the middle of cleaning.
Papi, that's exactly what would happen. In the middle of listening to some Mark Anthony or some Elvis Crespo, pause that shit. Papi, quick question for you. And she would say, what would you say if your father came to the door? And I would always be like, fuck you, I hate you, leave my mom. And I would only do that because she would allow me to curse, to say things. So it felt like cool, you know what I mean? And I remember one time she was fucking around with some Dominican cat, some light-skinned Dominican dude, and he came to the door, and I was like, fuck you. My mom was like, yo, not him, Papi, not him. That's not your daddy. That's not your daddy. Bro, that shit is so funny. Because that type of shit, when I tell her, she's like, I remember that.
Oh, shit.
She's like, that was so funny, right? That was so fucking... But even now, when I deal with shit with Nikita, she'll say to me, Papi, I used to do that. I used to do that, blah, blah, blah. And I'll be like, yeah, but I'm like, Mommy, but don't you think that's fucked up? Like, you did that shit to a man who was never in my life. And
never around.
And
you're around.
And I'm
present
and she was like, yes, I understand. And she's like, and she talks to Nikita. So she said, I tried talking to her. But it's a very, they work together. So it's a very slippery slope.
Yeah.
My mom knows she got to stay out of it.
But also, too, Nikita knows your mom and how she treated you and that whole situation. So it's too close.
It is too close.
Nikita probably can't take any advice.
Nikita will look at her and be like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's difficult.
Yeah, no, and I think my mom knows that, and that's why my mom kind of falls back and doesn't say shit.
That's good.
But what's so funny is like my mom, when I told her the whole thing about Mike, the shit that the clip I was gonna put out, she was like, all I ask is that you please talk to your brother and sister about it. Now, it didn't, I said, why? I said it had nothing to do with them. Yeah, no, but I said that story specifically has nothing to do with them, whatever. Like, and I said, why do you, Papi, I'm telling you, they're going to be upset. They're going to be upset. And I was like, no, they're not. They're not going to be upset. And she was adamant that I needed to bring it to them. So I did. I said, look, mommy wants me to bring this to you. I didn't really think it was necessary, but you guys tell me. I sent them, they were like, no, we don't fucking care. Right. They were like, he ain't fucking hug us either. Right. So we
but
good.
They might appreciate it though that you
no,
did actually.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I know the shit that would bother them that I would say, and I don't say it. Right. You know what I mean? And it's
on the pod, you mean?
On the pod. Oh yeah, open. I mean, I've told y'all that shit. Yeah.
But I
tell them that but like anytime I tell somebody about, like because they asked, they said, do Lee and Nick know? And I said, yeah. Lee and Nick
we
know.
don't give a fuck.
No, and
it's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, Lee and Nick know. I'm like, you gotta understand. I'm like, these are the closest people in my life. Of course, they're gonna know. Those are things in your life that you can't really hide. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There's just too wild. Yeah. Because for them, no one they're close with knows.
Of course,
they don't tell fucking anybody.
Of course,
that's their dad, right? But dad. I mean, to me, I'm just like, yo, and I guess it's because they're young, and they're probably smart to not talk about shit that's that private. Because I think when you're young, you think you have these friends, and then you tell them, and then they start talking shit, and then all of a sudden it's like it's bad.
But
for
also
you.
They have a whole lot of other shit going on.
Yeah,
that is way to pile that shit on too. It'd be like,
do you guys want to hear something crazy?
Yeah,
and that's not even, bro. It's so crazy because like those are the types of, because I do that a lot on the pitches. On the pitches, I talk about that shit.
Really?
Yeah, because I say...
Because it's part of the story.
It's part of my story. So I'm like, listen, these are things that I want to discuss, and that I want you guys to understand that it's not a political thing for me. This is really my life. Right. Because, if you start writing a scene with some shit, that they're going to be like, what are you doing? What the fuck? And I'm like, nah, shut the fuck up. I live this.
Right.
So don't tell me what can and can't happen because I lived through this. Yeah. So that's why I do it on the pitches. And even when you say it on the pitches, bro, that shit takes their breath away, though. Wow. They're like, wow. Because they don't know which way to go. Yeah. You're talking about how painful it was for you.
How it affected you.
I felt, right? And they're like...
And they can't deny it.
They can't deny it.
They can't be like, come on.
No, it didn't. No, it didn't.
And you were a kid, too. It'd be like shitting on a kid.
Yeah. And I honestly, I feel bad sometimes when we talk about this shit because they don't know what the fuck is that. They're like, what is he talking about? But one day I will talk about it, like in story form and shit like that. Yeah. And I think it'll be that much better for you guys.
Are you glad that he didn't now? You're like...
Yeah, well now I'm like, damn, I could write a bunch of scenes for this. You really boosted my creativity, gang.
Yeah, you know what I wanted to say? I just picture you back then in your room practicing Saturday mornings when your mom's asked you. You'd be in the mirror like, this is what I'm going to say, and you just say that shit. This is so fucking...
You know what's so funny? In the flea market, this is something, bro, this is the type of shit I remember as a kid that's like so fucked up. We would go to the flea market, the Aqueduct Flea Market. It was in Queens at the Aqueduct racetrack. My mom would bring me there every weekend, right? That story, that stand-up story about like me having all the fake Bryant, shit, that's where my mother would get my shit from. Papi, look at these Timberlands. I'm like, those are not Timberlands.
Those are lugs.
Those are lugs, bitch. So she would always go through and my mom, there was this pickle place. They had like all these like custom pickles, and my mom would always take me there. But I remember when we'd be walking around, I would look at any fucking 20-something-year-old Hispanic man
and wonder if that's
and look at them and say, is that my dad?
Wow.
Right? And as a kid, I more so as an adult look back. Like I remember the first time my mom showed me a picture of him. She was like, and this was later, and she was like, you want to see a picture of your father? And I was like, fuck yeah. I've been searching for my identity. At the time, you don't think like that, but I was. I was like, yeah. And she showed me a picture of him, and I was like, fuck. You like look at him, and it's like It's like
fucking cool.
Yeah, he was cool. Like she showed me a wedding photo. He had a white tux on, black bow tie.
They were married.
They were married.
Oh no shit. Okay.
Yeah. You want to hear something foul?
That
wild. He's so foul. Now this is all stories coming from like my uncle and my mother, but. When my grandmother passed away, she died when my mother was pregnant, right before I was born.
I remember that, yeah.
And when my grandmother passed away, she died of cancer, ovarian cancer. It was even. I have a crazy story about that, but we'll save that for Patreon. She dies of ovarian cancer. Her funeral, he goes out the night before. I told you this shit, right? He goes out the night before, and when my mother comes back from the funeral with my uncles, the motherfucker pulls up, hungover, hammered, gets out of the car. My uncle tries to fucking shoot him.
Yeah.
A whole fucking like thing ensues. Yeah. And I think to myself, like, yo, what kind of dude do you gotta be to your girl, like your wife? Yeah. Your wife, you gotta be a wild motherfucker.
Or the other joint was really, really bad.
He's like, yo, if I tell him now, I'd be like, yo, he'd be like, you want to see a picture of her?
You want to see, yeah.
But you want to see where?
Be like, Dad,
all right, fine, I understand, but that was fucked
that
up.
Was still
dude.
fucked
that
up.
Was fucked up. She was dead. Oh God, that's horrible.
Then
bro.
he goes back to the side piece and he's like, bitch, I almost died for you.
Bro,
I almost got shot for you.
It's so crazy because I feel like especially you probably have the same thing. How many people on your mother's side? Like, how many brothers and sisters do you have on your mother's side?
On my mother's side, I got 4. There's 5 of us on my mother's side.
Okay. Now, obviously, they probably don't know, but your mother wasn't in your life.
My mother wasn't in any of our lives. So it was just my oldest sister. And by the way, all the men that she had sex with, except for my dad that had those kids, they all died.
Oh, yes. All died of like what? Street shit?
One dude just jumped off a building. Another dude got popped and some other shit. But yeah, they all died. And then my dad comes, she's got 3 kids, and he's like, yeah, I'll hit it. And
she gets pregnant and he takes everyone?
He kind of took for a little while, but my oldest sister was raised by my grandmother. My second oldest sister was raised by her grandmother. My third oldest sister was raised by my mother's mother. So my mother didn't really have any of us. I was raised by my dad. So,
and you were raised by your dad?
Yeah. But my mother had 3 seeds by the time she was 21.
Fuck.
And she went through a whole lot of shit. She didn't graduate 8th grade. I didn't know all this till later, even though I never blamed her. Like you said, you never blame your mom. You do the best you can, right? Yeah. She wasn't there, but she did the best thing that she could for me, which was to send me to my dad. He just happened to be a wonderful motherfucker.
Which is so rare because you normally don't hear shit like that.
Well, he didn't die. That was
no, but not even that. But I mean, most of these motherfuckers wouldn't even like, yo. I wouldn't even. What if my mother wasn't around and shit? Like he probably would be like, I ain't taking.
Yeah, but you had. Yeah, of course.
You know what? But that's what I'm saying. Your dad took you, and not that it's crazy. It's a crazy world we live in that we're like, yo, your father took care of you, good dog. But he did the right thing. Like,
but that kind of fucked me up, though.
Of course,
it fucked me up later, and I didn't.
Not having your mom, bro. I can only imagine.
My relationships were fucked.
Oh, fuck. I can imagine, bro. I can imagine. Like, me looking for a dad is very different than you not having that maternal love.
It's like a bitch is crying. I'm like, the fuck you crying for?
Yeah.
Wipe your tears. Shut the fuck up.
Listen, you chunky bitch. You need to stop crying. You're always crying.
You're always crying. The fuck
bitch ass motherfucker. Damn, bro. That's so crazy.
Yeah,
do you think at what age did you really like come to terms with it? Like
40.
Damn.
Well, I never. My pops was so dope that I didn't miss or need or want for anything. He's very
you did.
affectionate.
It's a natural. Listen.
Well, look.
Naturally.
Also, too. I had an adopted mother who I spent a whole lot of time with. And
so how did? But she was with your father?
No. It was just my boys' moms who I just took to. She took me in.
Word?
I was staying there every weekend. I was staying there all summer. She was like my mom. That's Ray's mom's sister.
Word?
That's how we're.
Oh my God.
Yes. And she's like, she texts me every day. We talk all the time. And
still,
she's like my mom. Yeah.
Wow.
And she didn't try to replace my mom. She knows my mom.
She knew your mom.
Yeah.
Damn, bro. What a beautiful person.
She never tried to replace her or anything.
What's her
that.
name?
Brenda.
Brenda?
Yeah. Brenda Chisholm. Love you, girl.
And she was from the Bronx?
Yeah. 165th.
Damn, bro. That's such a beautiful thing. Because we've spoken on it, like being like a stepfather or any of those things, how difficult that is to genuinely love someone
else's kid.
That's not yours.
Yes.
Because it's natural. It's natural. Like they said, like lions in the wild, if it's not their kid, they eat them.
Right. Yeah.
Right? It's not mine.
It's not mine. Yeah.
I'm going to eat that motherfucker. I'm tired of fucking seeing his ass.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat him. He's not mine. We're only allowed. So you're natural. You're fighting nature.
Right.
Which is crazy to me.
It's so hard. And it's so easy to flip. Like, I've been a step-parent before.
Fuck yeah.
It's so difficult. But that experience of me either, because my dad had my sister. So, I had kind of like a stepmom, but not for very long. But being in that situation, being a stepchild, also helped me. Like you said, if you've never been in that situation, you don't know. As an adult, if you don't have kids, or if you haven't been a stepchild,
you
it's
don't know.
difficult for you. You're just like, fuck this kid. I don't want to.
Well, that's why I say if you don't have kids, if you're a man, specifically a man, if you're a man with no kids, I think a lot of men with no kids are like, I'll take a baby mom's. And it's like, my brother, you are fighting nature.
Yeah,
you're fighting nature. There is a love that woman has for that boy or that girl that you won't have. So when you see a little bratty little fuck in Target and he's talking shit to his mom and you're like, I'll kick this motherfucker in his chin. That mom is looking at him like I love him. It's just,
or they're overcompensating.
Or yes, exactly. You know what I mean? Like you get involved in that, like, because like Mike, like you could be petty. Did I ever tell you the shit story? The dog shit? So I got a dog. I was older at the time. I was living at home. I was young, and I just got a dog. I got a pit bull, and he was mine. I was taking care of him. And for whatever, I would take him out to the front to take a shit. And yeah, I wouldn't pick, you a typical 18-year-old kid, like you like, I'll pick it up later, whatever, fucking high as fuck. Like, I'll pick it up later. But it would always be in some like obscure area of the yard. Okay.
Like you leave, you can't come back and find that shit. Like
you can't find. It would always be in some like weird area. It wouldn't be out in the open. And he worked for Verizon at the time. He was a tech. He would climb poles and shit. He would come home from work with his fucking tool bag.
Climbing poles is crazy.
Yeah,
by the way.
I know. Just climbing poles. This is my pole, bro. So he would get every day, Lee. No exaggeration. Every day. He would scream. He would come home from work and you would, shit. And he would come in holding his boot. I fucking stepped in the shit again. I stepped in the shit. The dog, your fucking dog outside. Da-da-da-da-da. And my mom would be like, my mom, what the fuck? You need to clean that shit. Clean that fucking shit outside. And, just being a rat, I would I'm sorry. I'll go get it. I'll clean it, whatever. But like after a while, I'm like, yo, how the fuck is this motherfucker stepping in this shit every day? So I would question it sometimes and be like, yo, like, what the fuck? Look at the ground, motherfucker. What the fuck you keep stepping in this shit for? And then one day, he pulled up. And I'm staring at him, dog. I'm staring at him from the upstairs window. He gets out of his truck. He walks around the yard. I see him walk around the yard. He sees the pile of shit, steps in it, screams, comes inside. So I'm like, I got this motherfucker. So he comes inside, I lose it. I saw you, motherfucker. I saw you. You did it on purpose. Mommy, he did it on purpose. And I'm telling my mom, and mama's like, calm down. And he's like, oh, I didn't do it on purpose. What are you talking about? And he's like arguing. I'm like, I saw you, motherfucker. And my mom is like telling me to relax. Right. And I'm like, mommy, I watched him. He's a liar. He stepped in, he doing it on purpose. He's trying to make me look bad. And my mom is like looking at him, and then she looks at him like, is that true? And he's like, why would I do that? Gaslighting the fuck out of me, dog. And it wasn't that she didn't believe me, but it was that she was like, all right, enough already. Kevin, go upstairs. You need to clean the shit. You need to stop leaving the shit out there. That's the point of it all. And blah, 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 blah. Go upstairs. Come out, clean it up, go upstairs. And I was so upset. Yeah. Because I was like, yo, you ain't fucking believe me, dog? Right.
You chose this
motherfucker
over me?
Yeah. And at that point, I realized that she was so in love with that man.
Really?
That it didn't matter.
Well, you were already older.
Yeah, I was already older. And I wasn't a good kid at the time. So like, I would imagine anything I said or did kind of was like taken with a grain of salt, because I was a piece of shit. So it was just like, you know, you all you do is lie, and all you do is.
You weren't a piece of shit. You were acting out because your dad wasn't around.
Yeah, I was.
This motherfucker was looking for shit to step on every time he came home.
But yo, Lee, isn't that like that's psycho behavior?
Yeah.
Like you would never do that shit.
But your mom probably let you get away with so much shit that he's like, no, this is the thing.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. He didn't like me, bro. Like any chance he could to like make me look bad or got permission from because he didn't discipline me. So anytime I got kicked out, he would be the one to kick me out. He'd be like, your mother told me you're not welcome home. Give me your keys. You know, and you can tell he thrived off that shit.
Well, was this Sarah and Dylan were already born?
They were born. We're 12 years apart. So when I was 18, 19 going through it, they were 6.
That's the difference too, is that now I have my kids and I want to have this family.
Yeah, you felt
and
that.
You're not a part
You're
of
not a
this
part
family.
of this family, bro.
Yeah, that's
this is,
so
and the thing
difficult.
is, I always like, I had like a father relationship with my brother and sister because we were so far apart.
Yeah.
So like, I remember the first time he put hands on my sister, like he like dragged her by her hair. She was your baby. Wow. She was like 3.
Wow.
And he dragged her by her hair. And so she was 3, I was 19 or whatever, right? Am I doing the math correctly? No, 12 years, so 15. 15, 16, he drags her out of her hair, and I'm like, and I go off like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? I like grab her, I'm like, it's okay, mamita, you know, and I'm like, the fuck, don't you fucking ever touch her like that again, motherfucker, you know, and I think for him that was frustrating. Cause he's like, this is not your kid, motherfucker, you know. But I'm like, you ain't touching my shit. Like I'm old enough where like you ain't doing that shit, dog. Yeah, we've gotten into like.
Is he a big dude or?
He was a bigger dude. Yeah, he was a bigger dude. He was shorter than me. So he was like 5. He wasn't short by any means. 5'9", 5'10". He was a normal size guy, but he was shorter than me.
Right.
But much bigger, heftier, you know, working man, and. We've almost got in like scraps, dog, in front of the kids where they would cry and be like, stop
Because
it,
it's
Bobby.
tough for them too. Their dad is.
And it was like,
and their big
I
brother.
wasn't even a man, I was a boy. But like a boy and a man screaming at each other. And I thought I was a gangster. So like for me, I'm like, I'll kill you, motherfucker. Like I'll stab you in front of everybody, you know?
But that's a normal thing for teenage boys and their dad. Because you're trying to be a man and you feel like this motherfucker's blocking you. And he's not even your dad, and this motherfucker's blocking you from being a man.
Has Lee Jr. ever like stepped to you in
yet.
that way? Not yet. How
do,
old is he?
I do push-ups in front of him every day, so that motherfucker would never try me. I'm looking at him while I'm doing push-ups. This is so you don't fuck with me, dog.
25.
Yeah.
27. Yeah, but
he's 19 now. He's 19.
All right, so he's.
But we don't.
You're also but you're also a very, very different temperament. Now, but I'm just saying, in general, you're a very smart guy. You're very caring, and I think you don't allow your ego. Even I know you say now, but to be the person you are right now, even still, you had to have those
a little bit. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Bit, but like we talked about before, when you're in that environment, that toxic environment. And it frustrates you where you're taking it out on the kids. Being able to separate myself from that and being happier and being more understanding and not seeing him every day also has a lot to do with it too. Because now I can take a step back and be like, you know, he's only with me for this short period of time. I'm not going to overreact or get upset and do all of these things, you know, as I would if I was in that situation. You know what I'm saying? So it's different. It's completely different.
Is there a point in your relationship with Lee Jr.? Because I look at your relationship with Lee Jr. And it kind of, I think about like what my relationship is going to look like with my boys or feel like with my boys. Yeah. Was there an age where you felt like he was old enough to understand you in a way where it's like, all right, things are better because he understands me. He understands my situation.
He would ask me. As he started getting older, yo, what's up? You know, I noticed my mom's is acting a certain way and, you know, and she used to say things about you when you weren't here, but he didn't have that experience with me. So he would ask me like, why'd you leave? Or, you know, what happened? So we would
because she had her narrative, I'm sure, and would talk on the phone. Of course,
and would talk to people in front of him. And he's like, yo, my dad
abandoned me essentially.
Yeah. But, you know, he knew I was always there, you know, even though she made it tough for a little bit. But that was understandable now because she was a little bit upset and hurt the way things happened. But
Yeah, no, I get
it all
emotions.
works out. It all works out in the end. You're very present, so that's the biggest thing. They're gonna tell the difference. They're gonna know from what mom says as compared to what you are when you're there with them, and when they're with you, then when they're in your presence, they'll know the difference.
I'm gonna dig in more on the Patreon because it just, and I don't do the whole Patreon thing to try to. When every time I say it, I feel like people are thinking like he's trying to bait us into. I'm genuinely not doing that. I'm really just trying to make as minimum. Like I like to be open, but in a way where if it's 600 people, it's a lot better.
It's a lot
than
easier
thousands.
to manage than everybody can see.
Right,
this,
you know what I
and
mean?
People could just be like,
Yeah,
"Here,
and-
take this clip."
And
fucking run
like
with
I
it.
said, at the end of the day, this is my perspective.
Of course.
It's my perception about what is happening. And I don't, at the end of the day, she has her perception.
Of course.
Which is also valid.
She's dealing with it in
Her
real
own-
time,
right.
and she has the boys right there, and they're
Right.
reminders
Yes.
of you.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
like, these motherfuckers look like him. I got to see them. They act like him. They go over there. They're so happy. They come back. They're so happy, and now I got to deal with, I got to deal with
No,
that.
and I get it. It's just at a certain point, it gets so stressful for me because I normally do have that presence where I'm like, I understand this is tough for you. I'm sorry. I understand this is crazy. But sometimes she gets me to a point where I'm just like, I'm so angry, bro. And like you want to like be like vengeful, like you want to.
Of course, that's a natural emotion.
Yeah, and it's like I have to like stop myself and like think and like call people that I care about and be like, yo, what do I do here? I don't know what to do. People who are luckily I have people in my life who are rational and are able to play devil's advocate heavy to the point where it's like, yo, yeah, it's fucked up, it's terrible, but calm down, put yourself in her shoes.
Yeah, you got to be empathetic.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing you got to be is empathetic. Because if you lose that frame of reference, you'll be losing it all the time.
But you know what I think I always lose? I think when they're at home and mommy is sad, okay? Mm-hmm. And there's this like perception that like, oh, look how hurt mommy is, right? Mm-hmm. At times. Mm-hmm. And because I'm not like that, right? And because I fight through all my emotions.
You got so much shit going on that you can't.
Yeah, well, I don't do that to them because, like, what am I going to say? Hey, boys, you know how stressed I am? I have $11,000 in bills and I got $3,000 in my account. But, like, hopefully we go here and I make enough money to fucking pay for everything. But, like, I can't say that to them. I would never do that shit. My mom did that shit to me. Oh, we're going to fucking lose the house. And that shit killed me, bro, because you're helpless.
You can't do anything
right.
about it.
So, like, why would I tell them anything?
Put that pressure on them.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why it got me so mad when she, like, bitched about the thing about my brother. Where she was like, you told them about the fucking car? And I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, I never do shit like that because I grew up like that. I grew up, my mother telling me everything. Everything about my life. So I always told myself, when I got kids, I'm not telling them shit. There's two things I always said. My kids are never going to know my stresses, and I'm never going to come home angry. Those are the two things that I always promised. No matter what, don't do those two things. Because those are the two things that bothered me the most as a kid that I can remember.
Yeah.
She would always come home angry. Always, bro. It did not matter. You knew when mommy was coming home, she was gonna bitch about something. Fucking dishes, the fucking plates, the fucking something. She had to get that frustration out on someone.
So that's how you're able to stay so calm in this situation.
Yeah, because I sit there and I'm just like, I remember what it felt like as a kid to feel that feeling, and I don't want my kids to feel that. But sometimes it's frustrating when they're like, motherfucker, like, you don't even care. Because it looks like daddy don't care. Because daddy's...
You do such a good job of hiding it.
Yo.
Yeah.
And I feel it, dog.
Yeah,
I feel it.
Course.
It's like, motherfucker, like, you over here fine. And then, but what am I going to say? I'm not fine. Right. I really want to take it out on you. You know what I mean? What the fuck, Lee? What am I supposed to say, dog?
I mean, you might have to show her that it's not fine and it's not okay, and maybe she'll fall back, but then she'll be
But
like,
that's the thing. I think,
my
but
God.
that's the only thing that gets her to fall back. It's like, oh, you're hurting? You're really... That's the shit that was like, I think, a piece of our relationship that was... That was
cycle.
That was ruined. Like, that ruined the relationship at the end of the day. You having to have that... I have to be helpful in some way. Like I'm going to cause the problem and be the solution to the problem all at the same time. It's like a thing that, like, you know, my mom does it. She does it. Like it's a thing. It's a thing where it's like, and I don't think it's like conscious. I think it's subconscious.
Yeah, of course. She's not doing it on purpose.
No, it's not purpose. It's just
it's almost natural.
It's natural. Yeah, it really is natural. But like I am not. My mind has changed so much over the years that, like, I can see these things and I try to overlook them, but like it still frustrates me because I see them. Mm-hmm. But if you say it, like, listen, you know this is what you're doing, blah blah blah, you're just gonna fuck you. That's not what I'm doing.
You're too close to the situation to tell them about themselves, and she still remembers you as that 16-year-old boy.
Idiot.
It's never going to be the same.
No.
Because we grow and we evolve, and you're a different person. You've had different experiences, and now you're seeing things completely different. And she hasn't, unfortunately. It's not her fault, right? They need therapy. We all need therapy, but that's the first thing she should be willing to do, is to get therapy and get that shit out
I think,
and learn about herself.
Between yesterday and today, I learned a lot of things, bro. I think it's gonna bug you out. But other than that, what was the deal? How was your week? It's trying to lighten it up a bit.
This shit got too serious.
It got too serious.
You know, I wanted to tell you that I noticed when we go out to breakfast, you and Nick sit side by side when we go to the breakfast in the booth, right?
Because I give you more space.
Yes, I know. It's either I'm too big or, you know, and I like it. I'm not complaining.
Or I just try to emasculate.
From now on, I want to sit thigh to thigh with everybody too, dog. Everybody's gonna sit next to me.
Put your leg on me, motherfucker. Just put it across and put your leg on me. So it's funny because it's funny because I love Nick as a brother.
Yes,
you know, I love Nick as a brother, and
you got bicker like brothers too.
We bicker like brothers too. And when he frustrates me, it's like it's frustrating because he knows I'm frustrated at him. Like he can tell.
He can tell, but he means well.
But that's why I don't. That's why I don't hang on to any of it.
Yes,
I don't hang on to any of it, or I don't, because if I genuinely thought it was malicious, if I thought like he was doing it to bother me or hurt me or some sort of malice towards me, it would be a very different reaction.
Of course,
you know.
Of course.
But in the moment, like you see the way I yell at him, and I'm like, I'll fucking choke you, but I smile. I yell at him. I'm like, what are you? Fucking idiot.
It's good that you get it out right away because, like you said, you don't hold it in. It's just, and it's over. It's over.
And I've told him that. I said, Nikki, it is. I can't. If there's an issue, I need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Because if it sits with me, it becomes worse. Yeah. Because then the issues stack.
Then you're gonna fucking start counting, and you're gonna be like,
and then you can't explain yourself. Because here's another problem. I did that shit all the time. When I had an issue, I wouldn't say nothing, but then you forget what the issue was, and then you don't have an issue, and then something pops off that has nothing to do, and it's so little and minuscule that, like, a crazy person would have to be mad, but you get mad, and now you go crazy,
and now you look
he's like
crazy.
Yo, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you want to say, so remember when you did this and this and that, but you can't. So you try to make it make sense that small situation was really a bigger situation. And I've done that so many times in my life and look like an idiot that I told myself,
address it
in the moment because that shit at the crib, we won't talk about what happened, but it bothered me.
Yeah.
It bothered me. It bothered me in the bed. I'm in the bed like, looking at the ceiling, like thinking to myself, when I wake up in the morning, I'm going to say something to him. I'm going to say something to him. Because it bothered me, bro. Like I couldn't sleep for a little bit. I was like, fuck, you know? But I've learned that when you just address it, it's like, okay, understood.
Yeah.
And it's over.
Yeah, because he was stressed. Because
of course, he gets stressed.
He's trying to fucking figure this thing out, and he has to do this thing, and he's like, I need this done right now so I can move on to the next thing.
And listen, and huge. Nick, you know, I know we make jokes about how like Nick has no responsibility and shit like that, but here's the reality. Yo, Nick does a lot with almost nothing.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
It can be, you know, it can be frustrating. I know Nick will sometimes feel bad, like he'll send me an invoice, like, yo, please, bro, can you, you know? And I know in his eyes, like, fuck, I hate asking, because he knows I go through my shit.
Right.
But I at least can pay my. I think we have similar struggles, but I'm at a more comfortable level. I am more comfortable with my struggles. The bills get bigger. Right? The bills get bigger, and your apartment is a little bigger. You know what I'm saying? But the scenarios are the same. I got to pay a mortgage and a rent. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But we're both struggling.
We're all struggling.
We're all struggling, and I think and you know, for him, I feel bad because I know. So I think about it, and I talk about it a lot too. I'll like say it to Chrissy. I'll be like, fuck, like he spends an enormous amount of time with Rooster.
Yes.
A lot.
Yeah.
Okay? An enormous amount of time with Rooster because he wants to and because, you know, it's a time.
That's the great thing about what he's doing, though.
Yeah. You know? He can spend all his time and build these memories with his son and shit like that. But, yo, Nick does a lot, you know, with minimal resources. But what I try to explain to him is that, like, this is all that is. Doing a lot with nothing, bro. Resources. Until you can gather up enough things where you are like, okay, now I can outsource. Yeah. Now you handle here. But now you're still doing the same. Like you're still doing a lot with less than what you need. Yeah. And that's gonna be your whole life in this business shit. Yeah. Doing as much as you can with nothing. Not enough. You're not enough, bro. And you have to figure out a way to do it.
Struggle, bro.
It is
all the time, man. And you look around and you're like, damn, this motherfucker's living comfortably. He's not, and it's not a comparison thing. It's like, fuck, I'm trying so hard.
Yeah, I mean, look at you. Lee's doing fucking meetings. We're traveling, and Lee's doing meetings in the morning. We're going to get him breakfast so he can fucking hop on his meetings. Yeah. The people don't see they don't see the grind or the
hustle,
like of it all, of everybody and everyone who kind of puts in their piece and like is like, all right, like here's my piece, like let's fucking move forward, you know. But that's why I think I believe this pod is going to be successful because you have people who are on it who genuinely, this pod allows them to vent and to put themselves out there on a long form content platform. And it's real. It's genuine. It's not, there's so many pods, and, you know, shout out to all the ones who are successful and shit, but like, there's so much fluff and bullshit, right? It's like, what's going on with politics? This, that, and you need that. I'm not saying you do need that. Right. But like, that's not what this is. Right. Like, if we ever have like real, like big popping guests, like Bradshaw, right? Mm-hmm. When he was supposed to come, I told him, I said, listen, I would like you to watch a couple of episodes because I don't think it's a typical podcast. And I'm sure a lot of people say that. This ain't your typical podcast. Right. But I don't give a fuck about how many yards you carried. You know what I'm saying? In your career. Yeah. What we're trying to do, and not even trying to do, is when we have conversations with people, with their humanizing conversations.
Real shit.
I want to know, your baby mother was a pain in the ass. Right. What'd you do? Right. Are you close with your kids?
Or was your dad even there?
Was your dad was your dad around? Why do you think, is your son hate you? Why does he hate you? Right. You know, what do you feel like you did something? Like, and that's not even like for other people. It's just, those are the questions I want to ask a motherfucker absolutely. To know who you are.
Right, because you got to this level, and how the fuck did you do it with all those things going on? Because it's kind of like inspirational for us too.
Yeah, and I told Johnny, because like Johnny was like, yo, a while ago, he was like, you need to start getting guests and shit like that. And I said, yeah, but here's the thing about with guests. You have to be very upfront with them and letting them know, bro, I'm not going to ask you about your album. At the end of the pod, you want to plug your album, you want to plug your shit or whatever, cool. Yeah. But during the pod, I'm not talking about no dumb shit.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about no dumb shit. We can joke and laugh and shit, but as long as we're talking about real things, because I need to know that you're a fucking normal, real person for me to get along with you and have a conversation. Because otherwise I shut down. I'm going to be like this. We're going to be quiet. It's going to be weird. If you're weird, I can't. Some of these motherfuckers is aliens. I would say that shit to Johnny. He interviewed these rappers and I'm like, I'd look at him. I'd be like, is he even speaking English? What the fuck is he talking about?
Yeah.
They're too cool.
Right.
They're too cool. So that's why I worry about guests. I feel like for us, like we got to get people who can
be normal. Be people. And I think the people who watch appreciate that. Because they can almost feel like, that's the thing with you though, is you make people feel like you're normal, like they're normal. Welcome to my world. We're the same people. We feel the same things. We talk about the same, we have the same problems. And that's why people love it. Because they're like, oh yeah, I'm just like this guy. Because there are people who are up there and you're like, I have nothing in common with this person. I like what they say, I like what they do, but I have nothing in common.
And you can't tell. Like you can't tell, they'll say some real life stories or circumstances and shit, but they're not really, like I feel like a lot of people can look at us. And that's why we get insecure when we watch our shit. Because we listen to ourselves in our rawness. Yeah. And we're like, oh, you're a fucking idiot.
Bro, every time.
But so do I. But I've learned to accept the fact that, like, listen, I am who I am. The good, the bad, the corny, the fucking loud, the obnoxious, the talking over people. All those things that I used to be really insecure about and be like, fuck, I gotta fix that. Nah, bro, like you either love me for that or you hate me for that. But at the end of the day, it is me.
Yeah. You're one of one, bro, because I'm still so...
No, but you also haven't done this I was doing this shit from the lunchroom. And they would always tell me, you're talking too much. You're not letting Jesse talk enough. You're talking over this one.
Jesse
and I would get mad. I would get mad because I'd be like, motherfucker, none of you guys are anybody. Like, you got 11 followers, you bitch ass motherfucker. Let me talk. Let me say what I want to say. That's how I felt. But I would go home and be like, fuck, Kevin, like,
maybe.
And I would listen to myself. I was like, I talked over Amir. Luckily, we're all comedians, so we all fight for a voice.
Yes.
It's just a fight. So no one really wins, right? It's like, sometimes I win, sometimes Nick wins. Because there's times like Nick will talk over me so much where I have to stop and I'd be like, are you going to let me finish the fucking story? Because he ad-libs. Nick ad-libs. He'll say something random in the middle of your story. I'll be in the middle of something, I'm like, telling a story, and he'd be like, yeah, but what? But hold on. And I'm like, Nick, so hold on. No, hold on, bitch.
But that's good. The chemistry that you guys have is so good too, man. That shit is so good. And like, he'll interject, but he'll have some
he'll say something. He'd be like, or he'll just say a random word like gay. Or like ad-lib. Just ad-lib the fuck out of it. But like because we're all comedians and because we all come from the same world, I feel like we all do it to each other. And that's why it's fine. Because I don't mind. You don't mind. He doesn't mind. Yes. So it's like we all are just battling for each other and it works. Yeah, it just works. Yeah. It just works. Sometimes, when Nick said that shit, it's like, so let Kevin talk. Yo, that shit killed me, dog. Yeah. That shit killed me. That motherfucker's so stupid because I know it bothered him. He's like, damn, I didn't eat for 2 days or whatever he said. Yo, he's so stupid, bro. That shit made me laugh.
We were watching, you guys sent the clip of Shane Gillis and Bert Kreischer.
He sent, yeah.
Oh, Nick sent it. And Bert Kreischer. And I wanted to tell you that one time I sent you a text message very early on when we first started. And I was like, yo, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you.
And you deleted it?
And you didn't respond.
Really? I read it?
I was in my head for fucking...
I read it?
Days. I don't think you had to read receipts on, but... I was like, damn, this motherfucker gonna cut me from the tour now because I'm acting like a bitch and shit like that.
No, really? Yeah. Oh, fuck, Lee. This was early?
This was very early on. Early on. Yeah, and I was like, oh, this motherfucker.
Oh, I'm about to kick it. Yo, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm like, I just put an eggplant emoji. Bro, but
Stop being a bitch.
Bro, we all have done that shit. All of us. And it's so funny because like, I've sent shit to like people who are like very small creators right now, but at the time Like I thought they were the biggest thing ever, you know? And I didn't really like them like that. But I thought to myself, you know, you hear guys like Gary Vee, it'd be like, just DM everybody. You never know who's gonna help you and blah, blah, blah. So you take that like, you're like, all right, I'm a hustler.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking hit everybody.
Yeah.
And you realize like, bro, I hit everybody. Gilly the Kid, fucking Ed Wallow. I've sent whole fucking paragraphs. And now those people I really did look up to, and still do, you know? But there were some people I hit up that out just to hit up. And fam, good looking out or whatever. And now that I am who I am, and like those people like follow me, I know they look at me like, remember when you begged me?
Was in my DMs acting like a low bitch.
Dog. I know. Now you see him, I'm like, what's up? What's up, bro? What's up?
You get bigger, motherfuckers gonna be like, yo, let me pull up this DM this motherfucker.
Yeah, remember?
sent.
Yeah, exactly. You get into beef with them. They're like, what about this? Your sob story, you bitch ass motherfucker. I'll just start crying. I'll be like,
Yeah.
Bro, but that's normal. I think, and the fact that Shane Gillis did it is so funny.
That humanizes them. Those are the types of things.
I love that. That clip
was
of
great.
him, I love so much.
Yeah.
Because that's a real, authentic clip. I think everyone wants to look cool, dog, right?
I struggle with that all the time.
Yeah, everyone wants to look cool. I think, you know, I'm lucky. I feel like I understand. I know what I like that I think is cool. And I am very confident in the fact that I like this.
I know. We argued about it in the car.
We'll do a little jazz beat. Make me dance. We gotta add that shit. We gotta add that shit in this. Add this right here.
Oh my goodness.
Beat.
Okay.
They jack a beat that's fucking so popular, and then they rap over it, and now it becomes a great song over a.
Who are we talking about?
That's a deep cover. They did the deep cover beat.
Stop.
All of these songs that we've talked
didn't
about,
know
there's
any-
no original beats.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
That's why
it
you
was
hate-
original
That's
for
why
me.
people like it.
But it was original for me.
G Herbo's
I
all
never
Kanye.
heard- I never
You've
heard-
heard all those G
I'm not
Herbo
talking about
songs.
G Herbo. We're talking
But
about
he's
Big
talking
Pun.
about G Herbo.
He's talking about Big Pun.
No, you didn't have G
talking about
Herbo.
Deep Cover.
I'm talking about in general.
No, he's talking about Deep Cut. He's talking about Big Pun.
I'm talking about Big Pun, right?
talking about Big Pun.
A lot of these rappers who these people like.
But
who
it was
like-
original to me. I never heard Deep. I
Yeah,
never heard
me
that.
too.
But
Me too.
but that's the problem. That's the thing that I'm talking about. You like these songs because the beat is good, but the beat is good
Well,
because it's already been proven.
But that's not true. I like beat and melody. I'm a beat and melody person.
and that's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine.
So,
So
I
the-
need
the
that.
lyrics
So
don't
him,
matter.
so
I'm
him rapping over a jazz beat, fucking fucking sonically, ironically, chonically, phonics. I don't fucking like that shit.
That's okay.
Make me dance,
That's
bitch.
okay.
Make me dance.
That's okay that you like mindless music.
Fuck you, bitch. Where is this place?
We've been driving for 40 minutes, dude.
I don't know where I'm
I don't
going.
know. What is this though? This looks kind of nice.
Pretty dope.
Oh man, it's
But yeah,
so
like
funny.
I'm confident enough because I wasn't always like that. There was times I tried to do what I thought was cool, and it never came out. And then at a certain point, I was like, "Fuck it!" Like I'm gonna do what I want to do.
I'm cool, and I'm not gonna worry about
and
it.
fuck everybody.
Yes.
And when I started that, I realized like, okay, you can be yourself. And even bro, look, there's so many fucking like pussy weirdo guys that are crushing because there's 15% of the country are pussy weirdo guys.
Yeah.
Who are like, I want a guy just like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Makes
I'm
them
him.
feel confident because they're like,
Yes.
he's doing it. I can do this.
Yes,
too.
bro.
Yeah.
There's listen. There is. It doesn't matter if you're like an aspiring creator. This kid hit me up like 6 months ago, asking me like, "Yo, I want to get into content," and I was like, "Bro, the only thing I can tell you is to be unapologetically yourself."
Right.
And not give a fuck about what anyone says. And when you have that kind of energy, right, you will draw a crowd. I'm not saying it won't be a toxic crowd or a weird crowd or what kind of crowd it would be, but you will draw a crowd. You will draw a crowd. And if that's what your goal is, bro, unapologetically yourself and fuck everybody.
Yeah.
And if you think it's good, then it's fucking good and put it out there. The problem is there's a lot of motherfuckers who look at shit that think it's good
And it's not
and
good.
it's not good.
It's not good, yeah.
You know what I mean? But if you're unapologetically yourself and it's good, you're set.
You're good.
You're set. It's just you got to know what's good.
You got to have good taste.
You got to have good taste enough where you know that, like, okay, I'm a loser, but this is great loser content.
Right.
And losers are going to love this.
And not play make-believe. But that's what part of being authentically yourself is. It's just like, I know I'm a loser. I'm just going to be that, who I am, and fucking
and that's it.
Put it out there.
And that's it. All right, we're going to move over to the Patreon. I think we'll be going for a while. Guys, we love you. Come over to the Patreon. Today was just me and my dad. And it was a great episode. I love you. Nikki, go fuck yourself.